Okay, we're all set.
Well, welcome everyone. We're very excited to have you here with us today. My name is Elizabeth Janice Pearl, and I'm the Alumni Director here at UCEAP. Bryn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Bryn Lemon. I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement and Scholarships in our office here in Goleta, and I'm an alumna of our programs. I studied abroad in Scotland, and I'll have Elizabeth Hodes introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. So I am the Scholarship and Alumni Engagement Coordinator for UCEAP, and I am also one of our program alumnus. I studied abroad in London, England, and go to the West Spain. So thank you so much all for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. So we are so happy to have Shelby with us today. Shelby is a sexual assault and domestic violence advocate who has dedicated her life towards addressing gender-based violence in the US and in the Volta region of Ghana. In 2022, Shelby earned her master's degree in performance studies at Northwestern University, and in 2019 was a research fellow at Yale University. She was also a Fulbright recipient in 2019 and holds a bachelor's degree in American Studies with a concentration in education and Black Studies from UC Berkeley, where she graduated in 2018. Currently, Shelby is working as an assistant director for Evanston's Theater Project, where she conducts performance ethnographic-based work, which embodies storytelling and narration through interview transcriptions. She also plans to go back to school and receive her master's in social work. Her lifelong mission is to support the mental health community by becoming a trained licensed social worker and therapist who specializes in sexual assault advocacy, art therapy, trauma, addiction, and other forms of gender-based violence. Shelby, it was nice enough to mention in her bio that none of this would have been possible without the resources provided by UCEAP and the study abroad program at UC Berkeley, in addition to receiving a Gilman Scholarship. Following her transformational study abroad experience, Shelby made a conscious effort to keep in touch with local community members and administrators at the University of Ghana, and eventually made her way back in the spring of 2021. During her time there, she met with political figures and local community members and was able to successfully launch her family's international NGO called Youth in Action. And I think we'll be hearing a lot more about that today. Youth in Action is a nonprofit organization that offers youth development services, education access, employment assistance, and environmental justice in the Volta region of Ghana. So welcome to our 2023 Emerging Leader Alumni Awardee, Shelby Mack.
Thank you. Thank you all so much, first for attending this award ceremony, and secondly for UCEAP providing me with this award as well as recognition. I am beyond just thankful and grateful for this opportunity to share with you all some of my experiences while traveling abroad to Ghana in 2018 in the summer. First, I want to just give a brief overview of a personal statement that I wrote for the Gilman Scholarship, and I found that archived because I felt like it was the pre-study abroad experience and me really being intentional about why I wanted to study in Ghana, and specifically my ties as being a Black American woman in the United States. So I first want to read that, and then we can go into the different slides. So you can go to the next slide. Which is fine, so I kind of don't want it to sit there. And I will discuss the slides after I read the personal statement. So it reads, growing up with Black American parents, the history of my heritage and country has been whitewashed and plagued with Americanization, white supremacy, and colonization and colorism. Since my ancestors were stolen from Africa, I have had a hard time trying to discover and navigate my identity as a Black American woman with African lineage that I have no knowledge of. My journey has been guided by false realities of what it means to be Black in America. I grew up learning about Eurocentric beauty standards, anti-Black violence, and hatred towards my own history and people of the diaspora. The American history books became the truth, and the TV reinforced these racist ideologies. Unfortunately, I internalized these negative racialized stereotypes for 19 years. It was not until I reached community college that I consciously realized I was never taught the history of Africa pre-colonization. What seems so clear now, but not back then, is that it was not just the history of Africa during pre-colonization that was left out of academia. In fact, any positive history of Africa was nowhere to be found within the US curriculum. I felt betrayed and robbed of the truth about my roots. During my time at West Los Angeles Community College, my classes focused on the psychological effects of racialized stereotypes among Black Americans and African immigrants, and how these stereotypes stem from slavery, colonization, and white supremacy. I focused on West African countries like Ghana and Nigeria, and learned about the history of the transatlantic slave trade, as well as other things. It was extremely traumatic for me to relearn that history that was kept from me throughout my primary and secondary school years. Once I transferred to the University of California, Berkeley, I sought to expand my research on implementing Black enrichment programs as an alternative to zero tolerance policy practices, and also create an African diasporic curriculum on a national level. As a result, my personal experiences and research interests inspired me to apply to the study abroad program in Accra, Ghana. The University of Ghana is a perfect fit for me because the program offers 2 courses in Ghana society and global health and food, bringing together my passion in sustainability and West African culture. As an American Studies major with a concentration in African American Studies and Education, I believe that applying my lens to Ghanaian society is extremely important as Ghana becomes more and more industrialized as it is today. Since my major is interdisciplinary, I have been able to incorporate frameworks like critical race theory, intersectionality, and African diasporic studies into my major concentration, allowing me to learn about the educational and societal issues that my people face. I believe that my time spent in Ghana will be transformative towards my overall growth as a Black woman, scholar, researcher, and activist. The study abroad experience goes beyond schooling and textbooks. It allows you to be present and collaborative and to witness the culture in person. I see this trip as a spiritual and transformational journey because I'll be the first within my family to travel to any African country. At this point in my life, I believe it is time to fulfill my own academic ambitions by studying abroad. Being a non-traditional student, I did not have the luxury of going to university straight out of high school. With only 2 years to spend at UC Berkeley, I simply did not have the time to participate in every single organization and programs that interest me. My desire to study in Ghana has led me to sacrifice many things, such as applying to graduate school this year and participating in summer fellowships. However, I made these sacrifices because I am passionate about studying Ghana's rich history, language, and culture. Additionally, I have also faced social obstacles when it comes to studying abroad. Recent research states that only about 5% of Black students study abroad. This is not historically surprising because we do not have access to wealth to pay for trips, and oftentimes feel discouraged because we may not see people like us traveling abroad. And finally, the opportunity to travel to Ghana as a recipient of the scholarship will enable me to improve my research skills, communication, public speaking, and understanding how to conduct myself in a cultural and professional setting. This trip will provide me with a rich educational hands-on experience, and I will be a part of the community of African people who look just like me. To be able to travel to the motherland where all humankind originated from is beyond life-changing and emotional for me. As I reflect upon my own self-identity journey that has been filled with hatred towards my own skin color for 19 years, this trip will be spiritually healing for me. Because for the first time in my life, I will be around Ghanaian African people who love me for me. I will be able to finally understand how my African brothers and sisters and siblings are living culturally and will embark on a journey of transformational healing and love. So I wanted to share that all with you because one, it speaks to the level of intentionality of why I chose Ghana. I mean, there's so many programs that UCEAP offers, and I really decided to choose Ghana for the reasons that I just stated. I know for me, and I kind of reiterated it already, as someone who does not know, quote unquote, the specific tribes of my ancestors, I did do an ancestry, and actually, surprisingly, I am a lot of percentage of Ghanaian, which is not surprising because I felt so connected to the country. And so for me, I just really wanted to understand the cultural experience of African people on the continent. And I feel like I've been so, at that time in my life, I felt like I was so far removed and very much so really ignorant as well. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn about not only how they live, but also understanding the privileges that I hold as an American US citizen. And so for me, I was like, I mean, I could go to Europe. Yes, a lot of people, I know a lot of my friends went to Europe. And I was like, yeah, that's not for me. I didn't feel like that would be transformational towards my overall identity development, as well as just someone who is working towards becoming a more of a humanitarian worker, so to speak. And so right now, I will just talk about the slides that I have. First one being, this is a slide of me and all the people that I was with at the University of Ghana. And we did a lot of humanitarian work. Some of the pictures at the top are some of the humanitarian works that we've done. I really enjoyed working with the kids. That was like probably the best experience for me, because they were so excited, like, to be next to me, to see me, to talk to me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, and I'm not saying that the youth in America doesn't act like that, but I don't know. It was almost like they were thankful that I showed up, and, you know, I was able to engage with them in conversation. We talked a lot about just like how the high school curriculum works, where they want to go in the future. The project that we did was environmental, about environmentalism, and just, you know, waste reduction, as well as recycling, and just talking about just different ways of living your life in a sustainable way. And so during that time, beyond that, I developed really great, I would say, like, relationships with the students, and I really felt compelled and driven by that. And I feel like that was another reason why I decided to, you know, continue to come back to Ghana, because I really believe that the youth is, they're the future, they're the now. So I really enjoyed that. The middle picture at the top is when we did humanitarian work around HIV and AIDS for Ghanaian women. And we did a short project. At that time, I was really sick, so I wasn't able to participate. However, I was able to really do a good amount of research on the actual organization, and learned a lot about just how, unfortunately, how AIDS and HIV has impacted Ghanaian women and just Ghanaian people and African people in general. The next few slides are just monumental the next few pictures are just like monumental pictures. I really loved the different types of buildings, because they were representative of Black people in America, especially the W.B. Du Bois one. I'm a huge fan. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, they know about W.B. Du Bois, like, they know about Black American scholars. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like, I felt recognized, I felt seen. I was so excited. And it was just a building with a name on it. And you know, it's a collaborative, intellectual type of space. But I don't know, I felt some type of community just by being able to see, you know, what it was like for me. Another one that I saw that was really beautiful was the Marcus Garvey one. And I will talk about my relationship with Jamaica and my uncle and my aunt, literally probably the next slide. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, Marcus Garvey, like, this is like crazy. Like, I don't know why I felt so far removed from, right, again, the experience and proximity to African people. And so for me to be able to be there and to see recognition of other people of the diaspora who were very important towards the movement was really life-changing. And also just the beautiful on the left, I don't know if a left or your right of the screen at the bottom is the Black Star. And that's beautiful. And that's just some, like, it's just gorgeous. And it's super huge. And yeah, I just thought that these pictures really spoke to the landscape also of Ghana. We can continue on to the next slide, please. So here's more pictures. I felt like pictures tell stories, right? And so for me, again, I'm with the kids again. They want to take a picture with me. They were like, let's take a picture. And I'm like, okay. So I took so many pictures with them. Again, I just felt like it was so magical, and I don't want to romanticize it at all, but I just felt seen. I was so happy. You can clearly see it in all these pictures. I'm smiling, I'm happy, I'm glowing. Every time I go there, that's how I feel. Unfortunately, I don't feel that way when I'm in the States. That feeling and sensation is not nearly as the same as it is when I'm in Ghana. The next picture is when we were in the Shanti region. And those are just symbols, Ankh symbols, and just different symbols, cultural symbols that they represent. The next one is Auntie Rose. She was the director at the time. Shout out to her. I'm sure she's here. If she's not, it's okay. She was so amazing to me and just really like guided me and really encouraged me. Her being Black American, just like me, and a woman, you know, I felt like, wow, like this is possible. Like I can actually form relationships. And she definitely encouraged me to network and things of that sort. And that's exactly what I did while I was there. Another picture is me again, happy. This was at the Monkey Sanctuary in the region of Ho, I think. And it's just really beautiful to see, like, clearly, right, cute monkeys. I never thought I thought I was going to be afraid, but I definitely wasn't. We fed them bananas. It was just really nice. Again, just doing like not only environmental work and humanitarian work, but also having fun, right? And seeing the beauty. I just had no idea how beautiful Ghana was and how much of it, in terms of like geographically, how beautiful and magnificent and again, majestical it is. The next picture I wanted to show was just the two Ghanaian women workers at the hostels that I was at and I was living at, and most Ghanaian students live at. I put that picture for a reason. They cooked for us every single day. That was another thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I get like home cooked meals. Like it was so nice. And they were so sweet. They were so kind to me. They were so loving. Anything that I needed in terms of market stuff or any advice on it, just where to go for food, they knew firsthand. And it was really lovely to just connect with them on a sisterhood level. The next following pictures, I want to say those are pictures of me, or well, those two on the far end are pictures of women who are just beautiful women who are doing work. And for me, I don't know, it was really a lot of labor that was involved with a lot of the women and them cooking and them creating like palm oil, which is seen on I think that's like the yellow one. And just like being able to make it from scratch. Like I just never have seen things like this before. I'm very privileged in being able to go to the supermarket and not having to do that. But I think that this was beautiful, and that speaks to their cultural representation, as well as like their love for food. And I'm a foodie, so I was really just eating so much, and it was great. And then last picture is just me glowing and just me being happy, and I just felt like that should be there because again, that just embodies like how much happiness that I felt. We can go to the next slide now. I'll tell you when to play the video. So let's get to the birth of Youth in Action, formerly known as UGMA. This is my uncle and my aunt, who are sweet and beautiful human beings who I love dearly and hope that they're here. Essentially during my first time in 2018 in the summer, I was like, okay, like I was able to connect and network and things of that sort and form relationships with everyone. And so I told my uncle and my aunt, and they had not been yet. And they were really, determined and intentional, again, about intentionality. This theme keeps coming up. And I know that, they wanted to move somewhere on the continent. So I was like, I told them about my experience. I told them the people that I met, and they were super excited for me. And so they decided to create a plan, right, to transition from where they were currently staying, which was in Walker's Wood, St. Anne's, Jamaica, which is actually where Bob Marley's from. And so that's what they decided to do. And I just want to read over, because I interviewed them, I really wanted to know the origin story of how they moved from Jamaica to Ghana and why the birth of the Youth in Action, formerly known as UGMA, started. So just giving a brief history. So the history of Youth in Action started in St. Anne's, Walker's Wood, Jamaica in 2015 or 2016, where they taught Jamaican youth how to take care of their community environment through recycling, community beautification, and waste reduction. More specifically, my uncle and my aunt worked on projects, and their names are Auntie Tandaya and Uncle Tybika. I forgot to say their names. I apologize for that. And my uncle and my aunt worked on projects involving sharecropping and farming, while my uncle worked on his business called Herbal Renaissance, where he would grow medicinal herbs that would be used to treat chronic illnesses, and he would sell them to local herbalists and community members. He also taught classes on how to become an herbalist through teaching the youth within the community on how to grow certain herbs and foods and train them on what specific herbs or foods could be used for certain diseases. So Youth in Action Action, formerly known as UGMA, was birthed in December 2020. Up until that point, I had not gone back to Ghana yet, but they had went before me, and they were able to meet with a lot of the people that I met in 2018, and really form those connections in person rather than virtually, right? And so where they began to network with the same people I met during my time studying abroad in summer of 2018, I intentionally came to Ghana originally on a mission to give back in whatever way that I could, both locally and nationally. And they both had the same mission. So I was like, okay, well, let's actually like make this happen. And they already have the idea. They already had the drive. They already had that in Jamaica, and they wanted to transfer that over into a country in Africa. And so in March 2021, I decided to go on a sabbatical and spent the next 3 months launching our organization through securing an office space. So we have office space in the Volta region of Ghana, specifically in Georgia. And we also have social media sites and fundraising and meeting with more community politicians and leaders. And I did that while I was there. Networking at local events, I became more involved in also community events as well. There's a lot of weddings, a lot of fun things that I didn't know about weddings and funerals and how much of significance that is. More than birthdays, which is wild to me. But I was like, oh my gosh, and again, that was just a way for me to become more involved and for me to become a familiar face. Also in the history of this organization, since its inception, the Youth in Action NGO has already accomplished so much towards the overall people of Ghana, and more specifically with Voltarians. These accomplishments are based on the purpose and mission of this organization, which is to help bridge the economic gap between youth employment and job opportunities, both locally, both hosting classes on business and entrepreneurship, sewing, seamstress, and farming. And I will talk about a lot of their accomplishments that they've done. But first, I just wanted to talk about the pictures. So in the middle is a picture of me and another community member named Paul. And we were able to give back to the community in terms of the young youth. Again, like the youth is our future, the youth is now. And so I was able to partner with a lot of the different community leaders of the Georgia village. And so for me, that was really eye-opening and fun. And I was able to give back in that way. And this is just like a ceremonial celebration. Again, they're all about celebration and partying and stuff. So they welcomed me into the space. And I was able to pass out snacks to the kids. And that was really beautiful. And they were so beaming and excited. Again, this excitement to see me and my excitement to see them. So you can just play that. It's very short. I just felt like that was, yeah. worth showing. And this is when we were at like I said, a celebration community kind of welcoming for me. And it was at one of their local churches outside. And so the kids were there and I had passed out, we made them snack bags and we were passing them out. So I just thought that was nice to share with you all. We can go to the next slide now. Okay, so let's talk about accomplishments, which they have a lot. Also ongoing projects. In addition to this, they have also worked on a number of community development projects, such as water projects, which are featured in on the, I want to say the right side of the screen. And this was for local communities across the Volta region, but more specifically in Georgia. And they were able to host a lot of projects in terms of the Ghana Green Project, where they planted around 11,500 trees. They also have participated in community beautification, and they have worked endlessly with Assembly District Council members who are part of the DC party. Also, I wanted to just say that on the left-hand side of the screen is a picture of my aunt, as well as other community members, and providing the young women with both sewing equipment as well as actual computers. So they also do that a lot too, right? Like we know, and I know that the youth in Ghana, their unemployment rates are very high. And I don't know, for some reason, they're not, I feel like the youth is not treated in the way that they should be treated in terms of just being paid for what they do, and learning lifelong skills and things of that sort when it comes to making and earning a living. And so my uncle and my aunt are very determined, right, to help these young youths in the Volta region of Ghana to be able to become self-sufficient. And I feel like that is the most empowering thing that you can provide for anyone, is to become self-sufficient. And that's something that they preach a lot. And on the right side again, this was at one of the schools, and they did not have running water. Unfortunately, that's a huge problem that goes on a lot in the Volta region. They're very invisibilized in terms of regions. They are one of the largest ones. However, they have stigma around it. And so for me, being someone who also understands what that feels like, being a part of a country like America, for example, in a different way, I really wanted to give back to that specific region because I felt like it's so underserved and, again, invisibilized. And so I was really happy that my uncle and my aunt were able to do that. And they've been able to do as much as they've been able to do over the course of not that long. And so, yeah, you can go to the next slide now. And so I visited again in March 2022, which was last year. And we did a lot of school supplies and donations and stuff like that for the kids. We went to a lot of different schools and asked them, like, what is it that they need in terms of necessities and things that are urgently needed for their school. And I was able to talk to a lot of the teachers as well and talk to them about the things that they currently are in need of. And I know for me, it was really heartbreaking to see a lot of the things that are basic needs that we have in the States that they don't have. And so my uncle and my aunt have been really, really diligent in trying to both provide as much as they can. I mean, they're not white saviors or superheroes or anything like that, and they don't want to be that. But I definitely feel like them being of the age that they are and the wisdom that they have, they're willing to give that and share that. I know that they share that with me, and it has changed my life. And so in any small way that I can contribute, I do. And so it was really nice to see, again, to be welcomed again into the space of the Volta region in Georgia. On the far right is a picture of all of the aunties who both have worked at the University of Ghana and have been with me since the very beginning. And Auntie Sharon, shout out to her as well, and Auntie Elise. Like, these are just beautiful, powerful Ghanaian and Black American women who have been very supportive and continue to form that networking and be able to really coach me and mentor me on just how the education system works in Ghana, any questions that I have. So I was able to see them, and I was able to, like, meet with them again. And it had been so long. I think it had been since 2018 that I hadn't seen them. So that was really, really nice to see them. You can go to the next slide. And so now I want to talk about another thing that my uncle and I have accomplished. They have our Earth Day project, which was hosted on April 22nd, 2023. So a lot of the things that they did was community beautification, environmental projects, a lot of recycle and waste reduction. And so again, like, I saw that a lot when I first went to Ghana. A lot of the trash that comes from the West, and them not being able to properly reduce the waste. And so for me, it was really beautiful to I did this while I was in Ghana as well, but also see, like, young children being able to understand that this is their home, this is the place that they should respect, but also understanding that they have to implement things in order for things to get better, essentially. So that was really nice of my uncle and my aunt to do that. And I know that they have done a lot of work also around having access to trash cans, because again, that's not something that I saw a lot, especially in the Volta region. Just basic things they have been able to provide for a lot of community members. And so, yeah, we can go to the next slide. And so currently they are doing a water project funding, and you can find that on the fundraiser website, and it's called Water is Life. You can just search it. This is just something that I wanted to throw in there because, again, right, like, they're not Superman, Superwoman, and, like, it is really nice to be able to be a part of a community who is able to both help with the resources and the opportunities for these villages and communities to thrive and to have access to basic needs. And so they really understand the necessity of water, which was crazy to me to even fathom that is something that they are currently struggling with. And so they're doing that project as of right now. And yeah, we can go to the next slide. And this is just contact information if you're interested in contributing to the organization, if you're interested to talk to us more about the things that we've done over the course of the few years that we have been in launch, please feel free to contact us. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been able to be here, be able to listen to me and my rant and my tangent and my story. This is something that I was super excited and have been super excited and elated to do. I have my award. It's beautiful. I have showed it off on social media, so I know a lot of you already saw it. But it just, I don't know, for me, thinking about Ghana, this is how I feel every time I think about it. And I cannot wait to go back. I cannot wait to continue to contribute in the small ways that I can. It's not always about how much, it's about the intentionality behind it. And I feel like for me, I have always been someone who understands my privileges, even though I do face problems here in the States. I understand that basic necessities, basic resources, a lot of the continent does not have. And that is through a lot of exploitation. There's a number of factors, but I definitely want to just leave that on that note. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. That was excellent. And I saw we already have some questions in the chat, and I was wondering, given we have the time, if people asking these questions would like to ask them directly. So Jeremiah, I see that you're still on the call. Would you like to directly ask your question to Shelby?
Sure. So the question is not that straightforward, but Shelby knows me well enough to expect something like that. And so the preamble is, right, that it's difficult to construct a freedom song in an unfree land. You can talk about the United States, you can talk about what has happened in diaspora in Ghana. And I am leaning into Shelby's kind of brilliance and performance. And I want you to construct on the spot, if you can, the first line of your freedom song and speak to how this trip helped you develop the first line for your freedom song. And so I realize that I'm putting you on the spot, but I also realize who you are, so I don't feel bad about it.
I definitely, I have to think about that. Thanks, Jeremiah, for that question, creative question. Oh gosh, I think that they're so like, I want to say just like, even, can it just be a word that I saw a lot and I felt compelled to like always feel related to? I guess the word Akwaba and Wezo, which in Ewe means welcome, and in Akwaba is the Ashanti language. And so for me, I always felt welcomed, and I always felt, and even when they say it, like Akwaba, like, so like there's like this harmony that comes out. And I know that, I don't know, I thought it was beautiful, but I also thought like, oh my gosh, like we don't do that in the United States. So it was pretty like interesting for me to be able to be a part of a space where they were so welcoming. So I would feel like that would be the word that I would say that really was harmonious to who I am as a person, and just being able to feel connected to the land. I hope that answers your question, kind of. But that's what I would say, is that, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, excellent. Jeremiah, if you have any other questions, we can pop back over to you, but I'll pass it over to Moni. If you want to ask your question out loud, you're welcome to, or I'm happy to read it, whatever your preference is.
Now, I'll briefly try to cite this question, and I want to congratulate Shelby on a well-deserved award, and it's a great presentation that you just provided. My question is, what would you suggest as to ways in which to bridge the gap between the diaspora and Black youth in America, and why is that important?
Okay, these big questions. I feel like in order for that to happen, I do feel like there needs to be a lot more money and resources pumped into not only the diaspora, but as well as helping Black Americans be able to travel to the continent. And I feel like there's a lot of displacement, evidently, right, in terms of the transatlantic slave trade. I can go on and on. And so for me, I feel like, you know, the best experience is to be there in real time. and to really, and it's not, and for me, it's not just a vacation, right? Like I genuinely want to look at it as a opportunity to learn both the culture and society, but also be able to give back and be able to, whether that's internships, whether that's teaching. There's so many different avenues and ways. And I think us as Black Americans encouraging others to also join in terms of just being able to be culturally sensitive and relate to the experiences of our siblings is really all that we can do. Clearly that's not the only answer, but I do feel like that's what happened for me. And I feel like I talked about it a lot, but intentionality, right? And so being intentional about really forming those connections with people who you may not be in proximity to. I know that for me, whenever I saw a lot of Black students who were at UC Berkeley or even beyond UC Berkeley who do study abroad, a lot of them end up going to Europe. A lot of them don't come to the continent. So I think that those types of narratives need to change. And I do feel like that's something that we have to really take a part in and really feel like, I think there's a disconnect of feeling like we are African, or, you know, identity, juggling with identity and not feeling like we are, not feeling like we would be able to belong. And so for me, I feel like being there is the first step.
Great answer. Thank you. And we'll fundraise to get more people there.
Yes.
UC Berkeley.
Yes.
Go Bears. Thank you.
Go Bears.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Leah. Leah, would you like to ask that directly?
Hi.
Congratulations on this well-deserved award.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was really exciting to learn about the details. I mean, I know from Facebook that you've been going, but I didn't know exactly what you were doing there.
Yes,
So my question is, you know, I know you're in a PhD program. You are still, right?
I am.
Yeah. So how do you see that path and this one converging in the long run?
Yeah, I feel like for me, I am at a point where I don't feel like the program is the right fit for me at this time. And so I am pivoting away from that. And I will talk more detail with you about that, but I do feel like, you know, especially when I went back, right? When I was on sabbatical, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is something that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. And this is something that I always have felt needs to be a part of me and not just in like a short-term amount of time. And so for me, being able to understand the needs of others and being able to be resourceful to the people that I have met has been like really life-changing for me and really meaningful for me. And so I want to take some time off because I've been, as you know, back to back and just working in some type of humanitarian or social work positions and do that for a couple of years and then go back and get my MSW, because I feel like that is the trajectory that I see myself in and the field that I see myself in. Also interested in international education and really just, you know, being able to be a part of that representation as a Black American woman who has traveled on the continent and really encourages traveling in general and studying abroad. So yeah, we'll talk more, but that's how I've been feeling for the past 2 years now. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's many hot scholars with MSWs that I can connect you with. So stay in touch.
Yes.
Stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leah. Okay, our next question comes from Anna. Anna, would you like to ask this directly?
Sure. Hi, Shelby. Thank you so much. And congratulations. I don't think we've met. My name's Anna Henry, and I'm the Assistant Director for Advising at Berkeley Study Abroad. I work with the lovely Michelle, who was your advisor, and had the pleasure of visiting Ghana and meeting Auntie Sharon a few years ago. So really, it was so heartwarming to hear your presentation. I'm curious because you brought up Pan-Africanism as initial kind of what motivated you to travel to Ghana. And over the years, given all of your experiences, how has your kind of understanding or relationship with Pan-Africanism grown, deepened, changed? Would love to hear more about that.
Yeah. These are really great questions. It's really making me think, which is great. I feel like for me, there's a difference between theory and practice. And I feel like for me, up until that point, I was just hearing the theory. I was hearing the academic rhetoric of Pan-Africanism. Clearly, I was seeing examples of leaders who have done who have participated and done the action. But me, myself, being surrounded by people that I have been surrounded by, it's either been difficult for them to travel, or it's been difficult for them to actually go and actually do the work and really put it into practice. So I feel like for me, Pan-Africanism should be practice. It should be something that you are intentionally doing and not just speaking of or putting it in your bio or bragging about how you know this rhetoric, and putting it in your essay. Like these are people's lives, right? And for me, again, I felt and have felt for a long time that I wanted to bridge the gap, that I wanted to understand, that I wanted to know about their experiences, and to not make it seem as if this is, some type of battle between Black Americans versus, African immigrants. Like, no, like I genuinely wanted to know. And for me, I felt like the only way for me to know and practice Pan-Africanism was, again, the action. And so I would encourage others to do that too. And I feel like I have in terms of like family members, like my uncle and my aunt. And so yeah, and even them and seeing them, they have been very, again, I don't know why I'm sorry being redundant with intentionality, but they originally are from Detroit, Michigan. I want to say they moved from Detroit, Michigan in I want to say the early 90s, and they went to Jamaica. They actually changed their names. They had Black American names. Last names were of slave last names. And so they felt like, identity as being as crucial as it is, your name matters. And I wanted to also say that Abla is my Ghanaian name, my Ewe name. And it means that I was born on Tuesday. The Ashanti version of that is Bena. So again, Tuesday born. And so that was another thing, that the names, like the importance of naming and being able to connect. There's so many beautiful names that I've known of so many different African immigrants that I've met over the course of my time of existing, and they're beautiful and they're meaningful and they're connected on a deep level to the actual continent. And so I feel like beyond just the action, I think identity, I think of being patient with others. Not everyone is on that journey, the same journey you're on. And I don't think that you should ridicule or talk down to someone who may not be there yet or may not ever get there yet. I think that the only thing that you can do is inspire. And that's what I've been trying to do. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shelby. And on the topic of inspiring, I'm sure if you read through the chat, you'll see so many people have commented.
I haven't even read. I'll read now.
Excellent.
Okay.
If there are any final questions that anyone would like to pop into the chat, or you're welcome to simply raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask directly, then we welcome that. If there aren't, we may wrap shortly, but we want to say thank you so much, Shelby, and I'll reiterate what was said in the comments here, which is just that this was an insightful and inspiring conversation, and it's just the beginning of it. So if anyone wanted to follow up with Shelby, if you're comfortable sharing your contact information following this, then we'll send out a recap email to attendees. And the recording of this we posted within the week. So if you were unable to catch all of it, if you joined us late, or if you have anyone you want to share it with that you think would enjoy this conversation, we encourage you to do so. And Elizabeth, I see your hand is up.
Hi, I just wanted to say, coming from, study abroad, international education alumni office, what I love hearing about your story, Shelby, is how much you got out of one summer. We hear repeatedly, you have to go abroad for a year. Oh, well, if you can't do a year, you have to be abroad for a semester. And that's only how you're going to experience a transformational time. And here you got so much out of one summer and have turned it into this lifelong career and passion. And I can just see so much of who you are. And that for me is a really good story to share with other alumni, especially with some of our older alumni who are strong believers in a year-long program. And I think that, we're going to post this presentation on our YouTube channel, and I see our marketing directors with us. I think we should share it with people as far as, you can make a difference in the summer. It's just, it being intentional, like you said. So congratulations.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I was offered through the Gilman as well as Auntie Sharon and Auntie Rose, they're like, you could stay longer. And I wanted to. However, my lease was up and I had all of my stuff there. So I didn't want my stuff thrown out. So that was really the only thing stopping me. Other than that, I would have stayed longer. But yes, I knew that it was short-lived and it was just so fast and we did so much in so little amount of time. And I feel like that's why it was so good, is that we're always busy. We're always busy. And they always were, really trying to show us as much as they can. And I feel like I pretty much saw the whole country, which is awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
Well,
thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your
Congratulations
comments today.
again.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bryn. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you,
Michelle.
And I would love to continue to connect and follow up with anyone, especially in regards to like international education and stuff, as I definitely am interested in that, given just my transformational experience. So yeah, definitely would love to connect.
Well, thank you for that, Shelby. I haven't, I've been sort of in and out, but listening all the time.
Yes.
And I really appreciated this. And I will get in touch with you because unfortunately, too many people think Africa is a country. They have no idea, how rich and diverse. And we are experiencing some challenges in getting students to understand the opportunities that exist for them in Ghana. So I'm going to reach out and try and pick your brain on that, along with Jenny Monroe, our marketing and communication director.
Wonderful. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.